I believe it. I live it. I believe if you serve 51% more than you receive, like 51 to 49, the rewards, financial, network, friends, happiness, courage, self-belief, self-love, it comes to you tenfold.
Sure.
But when we're in a state of fear and comparing and competing with everybody around us because of nonsense that's put out there by our media and social media, or looking at our phones constantly, it's never going to happen for you. So that's, you made a great point, and I get in my soapbox about this, but until you put the phone down, you're not going to be successful in life, period.
That's true. And, we are all created. You mentioned the term servant. We're all created to be that. And regardless of what belief system you're part of, or, what particular faith you're part of, every single one of them does go back to that same teaching and that same doctrine that we should be servants. And, when you serve enough people, then you don't have to worry about how much you get, because you're going to get enough. You help enough people, they're going to in turn do the same thing, and they're going to help you. And so we don't have to worry about the almighty dollar when we're doing things. Worry about the needs and the wants and the desires of other people, and they in turn are going to care about yours. And at the end of the day, you're going to have what you need. You help enough people,
100%,
and you're going to be taken care of. So, and as we say at the church I go to, bless people, bless people. It's the more you bless people, then the more you're going to be blessed, and in turn, you can bless more people. So it perpetuates itself, and it's that snowball effect that just keeps growing and growing and growing, and all we have to do is just keep doing it.
That's beautiful. And the flip side of that is hurt people hurt people. Right. And it's really interesting because that is a true term. People that are springing judgment and pain and anger and criticism, those are hurt people trying to hurt people. And it's so interesting you said that. I love this because I believe that we were put on this earth to provide value and usefulness to ourselves, our communities, and our people. And so to be useful and to value, it starts with serving. And so I think once you do that, God, the universe, it reciprocates back to you tenfold. So you're spot on.
Sure. And each of us have those unique gifts and talents and abilities. And the reason we have those things is to use them to help other people. It's not for our own gains, because most of the time, our gifts and talents do nothing for us, but it does a lot for other people. And so if we just use those things, then we're happy. And that's why I tell people, when they ask, what career should I go into? Go into the one that makes you happy. The one that gives you joy, because just like that saying goes, if you do what you love, you never work a day in your life. And so I'm very much a believer in that we should do the things that we're gifted for. And, you do that and you help enough people, you're going to be okay. You just trust in it. It just happens to be, the way it is.
I couldn't have said that better. I couldn't have said that better myself. I believe we all have what I call your zone of brilliance. Some call it your zone of genius. Some call it your God-given talents. And sometimes we know those, and sometimes we don't know those. But when you're using your God-given talents, your zone of brilliance, what people come to you for, what you're good at, and I believe every human on earth has one or two of these things. They have these superpowers, for lack of a better word, that provide usefulness, value to other people. And so if you're, like you said, if you're working in your zone of brilliance and you're helping others, you'll never work a day in your life. It's brilliant.
Right. Now, as a CEO within your particular business, we'll kind of look at it from the business owner standpoint, since we do have business owners who are going to listen. What are some of the things? Maybe do you have things that kind of keep you up at night as well that you could speak on that other listeners could sort of be edified in hearing that?
Absolutely. So for me, I started this. I've got multiple, but I've invested into certain startups. I sit on the board of about 5 for-profit companies. It's paid board positions. But for me, for my companies, what keeps me up at night is there's several things. The first thing it is when I started this company, it was about helping men build a life of significance and meaning, and just being their best selves. And I forget that sometimes because I get caught up in the financials. I get caught up in operations. I get caught up in business development, or Joe is mad at Sally and I got to go deal with that. And so I get caught up in the day to day and forget to stay in my one area. When I'm not doing public speaking, when I'm not helping an executive find balance and fulfillment and rediscover what makes them great and help them be more innovative. When I'm not doing that, when I'm stuck in the mud, I am not winning in my company. I'm working in my business and not on my business. So I am become pretty and it keeps me up at night. And I can't let my perfectionism and control get in my own way. And that's ego stuff for me. Thinking I'm the only one that can do it. I'm the only one that has and that's nonsense. And I think what makes Richard Branson great, even if you don't like him, what makes him great as a businessman is that he gets out of the way. He's an innovator and a thinker, and then he surrounds himself people who help him with operations, finance, administration, sales, HR. And sometimes I get in my own way with my control and perfectionism. I don't trust my team members enough, and I own that. And so when I empower them, get out of my own way, it not only makes me happy, it makes them happy. And that way I can get back and do what I do best, speak and help people be their best selves. And so that's what keeps me up at night is my control and perfectionism. And sometimes thinking, because it's our baby, right? As business owners, this is our baby. And sometimes our contractors and employees don't have the same love for it. But we got to get out of our own ways. And I'm talking to myself, and let the people that we trust and pay do their jobs, because chances are they're much better at doing those jobs than I am. And so that's what keeps me up at night. And plus, I've hit a cap right now. And to me, I've got to figure out how to widgetize some of my knowledge and self and take this to the next level. Because how do I widgetize me and build the program systems, both online and offline, and bring some little Tommies up in the world so that I can continue growing and doing this, because it's becoming a need. It's in high demand right now. And so another thing that keeps me up at night is scale.
Sure. Yeah. And that's something that, I do hear a lot of different entrepreneurs, kind of running into. And, after the program, I'll actually give you some info from somebody that's been on my program as well, that's what he does. And so I'll look you up with a good friend of mine.
Awesome.
So do you believe it's important? Here's one of my rhetorical questions I like to ask. Do you believe it's important that people, both in their personal life and their business life, create strategies and plans for what they're doing? Or do you think it's okay for them just to basically go through life willy-nilly and, take it as it comes?
I think if you go through willy-nilly, you're going to die with a lot of regrets and a lot of shoulda, woulda, couldas. And so to me, I build my whole life. It starts with my personal and life plan, which then evolves into my business plan. And I prescribe to the school, if you don't write it down, it's not going to happen. And so my family, my wife and I, and we have a dog. We were not blessed to have kids, but for us, it's imperative that we set our life goals, our travel goals, our education goals, our growth goals, our relationship goals, and then we build our business goals based on those. And so we have been so successful, especially in recent years, from a relationship standpoint, from a happiness standpoint, and from a business standpoint, because we do massive, not only strategy and goal setting, but here's where the rubber hits the road. You have to do tactical planning as well and hold yourself accountable to the actions under those plans, because the best strategies and tactics in the world without action is death. And so I don't think if you do that, I think you're going to die with regrets, and you're going to woulda, coulda, shouldas, because it's just going to be chaos. And we've got to help make this, some really clarity out of the chaos. And to do that, you have to have both personal and business plans, and you need to do them at the same time, in my opinion.
Sure. And, so many people are hitting that plateau, 1 year out, 2 years out of, starting their business, and they quickly hit a plateau to where they can't scale up and they're not able to grow. And just having that roadmap is such a huge thing, that it's like taking the trip from Los Angeles to New York. If you don't have that, you don't know where the road construction is. You don't know where the bridges are out. You don't know any of that stuff. And you're not able to avoid, the turmoils and the tragedies that could befall you if you don't have that plan. So my little 2 cents worth there.
I love it. And for me, this is something that's powerful. So I walk this stuff. It's not just something I'm not a sage on the stage. I walk this stuff. I walk next to my clients. And let me tell you what I do. I have a mastermind group that I don't only run masterminds. I'm in a mastermind. I have an accountability coach. I have 2 guys that helps hold me accountability. I have 2 mentors, and I have a life coach. And so for me, I'm walking this stuff, and all of those people help me with planning. They help me with strategy. They help kick me in the face when I need to be kicked in the face, and they help me be accountable. And also when I have self-limiting beliefs, and even I study this stuff and I'm in the self-development space. But when I have self-limiting beliefs, they help me overcome those. So it's not just about strategies, it's about tactics, and even bigger is accountability to those tactics.
Absolutely. Yeah, we have to keep ourselves accountable. So that's a certainly a good point. Golden nugget there. So what would be some of the reasons that you think maybe some of these newer entrepreneurs are failing or giving up in their businesses? We know that 90% of businesses fail, but what do you think some of those reasons are?
I honestly think they quit I think there's a lot of different reasons. I think because you're a founder of an organization might not make you the best leader. It might not make you the best salesperson. It might not. Usually when you start a business, you're really good at one or two particular things. That goes back to that area of brilliance, right?
Sure.
And so for me, I think as they build their business, first of all, it's got to be something that someone wants. It has to provide value to the world. So if you're just starting a business to start business out of money and there's no value in it and people don't want it, then you're dead to start with. But assuming you've gotten that part down, that someone actually wants to buy what you're selling, I think you have to stay in your lane as an entrepreneur and surround yourself with the best and the brightest and the people that help bring you up and that help you build this business together. And I think you've got to get out of your own way. And I think you need to let your pride and ego out of the way. That doesn't mean you have to give up all the control and ownership of your company. But if you're not the best leader, bring in a leader. If you're not the best people person, bring in a people person. If you're not a good technology, bring in someone in technology. And so as you grow and scale, and by the way, business is tough. Every business, you've got competition, you've got marketplaces. It's not easy. And I think people think they see these, basically these grand slam home runs that these people have created $1 billion business. Well, you can still add value to yourself and society with a $100,000 business, with $1 million business, a $10 million business, a $50 million business. And by the way, money is just energy and a mindset. And so if you're limited to a certain amount of revenue and money, that's because you've got a limiting mindset. But that's a whole nother topic that I could go on a soapbox for like hours and hours and hours. But for me, I see so many entrepreneurs because I'm on the board of the UGA Entrepreneur Program and I get to judge a lot of entrepreneurial competitions. And I think there's a lot of reasons. I think the founders and leaders think they're CEOs and they want to control everything like I was talking about earlier, and they don't let people get out of their way. And B, and this is my soapbox, if you don't have a basic understanding of finance, accounting, governance, and legal, you're dead. You're absolutely dead in the water. Because the sharks, I used to represent a lot of VC and private equities in my financial consulting days. They are going to eat you alive. And so to have a basic understanding of cash flow, profitability, what about balance sheet? Should you be an LLC, a C Corp, an S Corp? What should your board do? Should you even have a board? And what people do you need? And when do you need those people to bring you up? So there is a basic business sense as well, that if you're just a startup entrepreneur, that if you don't have that, you don't have that on your team, you're dead. So I think it's a combination of those two things. And I think people quit when things get tough. And that's when courage and action and perseverance comes through. So I think those are the three reasons that most businesses fail.
No, spot on. Very, very well put. Very well put. So within the different roadblocks and resources that are out there, what are some of those that you've run across that you might point out to people that are just starting business and, maybe roadblocks to keep their eyes out for, and then resources that, when they see them, take advantage of those resources?
I think it's so roadblocks is going to be, there's this perception out there that there's just all this money to be had that people are just going to invest in your company. And I just think that's nonsense. I don't know where we've come up with this mindset that venture capital, private equity, and angel investors are just going to invest in people's companies. So get rid of that mindset. People will start investing into you, whether it's resources, it's money, it's time, whatever it might be, when you actually have a product that's providing value to a certain customer and client base. And so first of all, you've got to build a company that has a good product. And once you have that good product, you slowly build teams that are not only in alignment with your values as a human and as a leader, but also provide a skill that you don't have, and you need to let them do their job. And so I think it's a combination of those three things that I just told you, is building the right team, knowing when to take money and when not to take money, understanding the governance and legal side of a business. And you don't have to be an attorney, but you've got to understand how to protect yourself and what all that stuff actually means from a cash flow tax standpoint, and what it ultimately means if you want to scale it to a super level.
Sure.
And so I think all of those things are roadblocks, but the biggest roadblock of all